How China's $1,000 cars could change America. A real electric car for just $1,000. That sounds impossible. In America, that kind of money might barely cover the down payment on a new pickup. But in China, it can buy an entire vehicle. At first, it's easy to laugh. The wheels look tiny. The cabin looks cramped. The top speed isn't exactly thrilling. It almost feels more like a golf cart than a real car. But here's the question almost nobody asks. If a tiny electric car can handle 80% of the trips most people make every day, have we spent decades building cars that are far bigger than we actually need? Let's find out. What does a $1,000 car actually feel like? Most Americans have never seen one of these cars in person. Then imagine walking into one of China's happy old man car festivals. Instead of giant SUVs stretching across parking lots, you find hundreds of tiny electric cars lined up side by side. Some are shorter than a Mini Cooper. Others are barely wider than a motorcycle with a roof. At first glance, they almost look like toys, until someone climbs inside, starts the motor, and quietly drives away. Open the lightweight door. Step inside. The cabin isn't luxurious, but it doesn't feel unfinished either. There's a steering wheel, a touchscreen, air conditioning, a backup camera, Bluetooth, USB charging, everything you'd expect from a modern commuter car, just smaller. Pull away from the curb. The electric motor responds instantly. There's no engine noise, no vibration. Turning around on narrow streets feels effortless. Parking takes seconds. You quickly realize something surprising. This car wasn't designed to impress your neighbors. It was designed to solve one simple problem: getting from point A to point B as efficiently as possible. And for city driving, it actually does that remarkably well. So how can something that feels like a real car cost less than a used riding mower? Why is it so cheap? The answer isn't magic, it's subtraction. For decades, automakers have competed by adding more. More horsepower, more leather, more screens, more sensors, more luxury, more weight, more cost. China's smallest EV manufacturers took the opposite approach. What happens if we remove everything people rarely use? The result is surprisingly simple. A small electric motor, a compact battery, a lightweight steel frame, basic suspension, minimal electronics, far fewer moving parts than a gasoline vehicle. Every piece removed saves money. Every pound eliminated makes the battery smaller, and a smaller battery lowers the price even more. The entire vehicle becomes a chain reaction of cost reduction. Instead of building one car capable of everything, they built a car optimized for one job: daily transportation. Nothing more, nothing less. That simple philosophy changes everything. the jobs cars actually do think. Think about your own week. Driving to work, picking up groceries, taking your kids to school, stopping for coffee, running errands. Most trips are surprisingly short, often with just one person inside. Yet millions of Americans make those same trips driving vehicles weighing over 5,000 pounds. Powerful enough to tow boats, large enough for 7 passengers, capable of crossing entire states, even if they never do. Somewhere along the way, cars stopped being tools. They became symbols. Symbols of freedom, success, identity, status. But transportation doesn't always need to make a statement. Sometimes, it just needs to get you home. Why America never built cars like this. America didn't accidentally become the land of big vehicles. The country was built around them. Long highways, wide roads, cheap fuel, large parking spaces, suburban neighborhoods, cross-country road trips. Everything encouraged bigger cars. Then came another powerful force: profit. Large SUVs and pickup trucks generate significantly higher margins than compact cars, so manufacturers invested where the profits were. Advertising reinforced the idea. Bigger meant safer. Bigger meant stronger. Bigger meant better. Eventually, that became normal. Meanwhile, China faced a different reality. Crowded cities, expensive parking, heavy traffic, short urban commutes. Instead of asking, how can we build a bigger vehicle? Many companies asked, how small can a car become before it stops being useful? That single question led to a completely different industry. The industry everyone laughed at. In the beginning, almost nobody took these little cars seriously. People joked about them online. They called them toy cars, retirement cars, neighborhood cars, cars that would disappear behind an American pickup. But something interesting happened. Sales kept growing. Factories kept expanding. More companies entered the market. Each year, the designs improved. Better batteries, better interiors, better reliability, lower prices. What started as transportation for retirees slowly evolved into delivery vehicles, farm vehicles, small business vehicles, tourist vehicles, and affordable transportation for millions of ordinary families. Sometimes the biggest disruption doesn't arrive looking powerful. Sometimes it arrives looking harmless. What shocked me most at the festival? Walking deeper into the exhibition, I expected to see dozens of cheap copies. Instead, I found hundreds of different ideas. Tiny pickup trucks, electric tuk-tuks, three-wheeled delivery vans, mini construction trucks, solar-powered scooters, compact utility vehicles, even refrigerated delivery vans, no bigger than a golf cart. Many of them looked funny. Some looked strangely familiar, borrowing styling from brands like Mini, Land Rover, BYD, or Xiaomi. But underneath the playful designs was something much more important. Almost every vehicle shared the same basic architecture: a simple chassis, a small battery, one electric motor, bolt-on body panels. Manufacturers weren't just building cars, they were building a platform, one that could become almost anything. That's when the festival stopped feeling like a collection of strange little vehicles. It started feeling like an innovation lab, not trying to build the world's fastest EV, but the world's most affordable EV. But trying to build the world's cheapest useful EV, that's a completely different goal. The biggest threat isn't Tesla. When Americans think about China's EV industry, they usually picture companies trying to compete with Tesla. Luxury sedans, performance cars, advanced software. But after walking this show, that doesn't seem like the real battle anymore. The real disruption could happen at the bottom of the market, because that's where America barely competes at all. There simply aren't many brand new electric vehicles that ordinary families can buy for just a few $1,000s. Imagine a retired couple who only drive 5 miles a day, a college student commuting across campus, a delivery driver working inside one neighborhood, a maintenance crew moving around a resort, a farmer checking fences, a warehouse transporting supplies. None of these jobs require a 500 horsepower SUV. Sometimes, smaller is simply smarter. And once a product is good enough for millions of people, its market can become enormous. Why Americans would love them and hate them. This is where the debate begins. Some people would absolutely love these tiny EVs. They're cheap, easy to park, simple to repair, quiet, efficient, perfect for short trips. Others would never consider owning one. They're too small, too slow, too basic. Many Americans spend hours driving on highways every week. Crash safety matters. Range matters. Comfort matters. Regulations matter. Those concerns are completely valid. That's why these cars probably won't replace traditional vehicles. They don't need to. The better question is this: could they become America's second car? The grocery car, the neighborhood car, the school run car, the quick coffee car, the vehicle that saves thousands of dollars every year by replacing short trips in a full-size SUV. Suddenly, the idea doesn't sound nearly as ridiculous. The future might be smaller than we think. History has a strange habit of repeating itself. Computers became smaller, phones became smaller, then smarter. Cameras disappeared into smartphones. Music players disappeared. GPS devices disappeared. Many technologies shrink before they become mainstream. Cars have followed the opposite path. For decades, they've grown larger, heavier, more expensive, more complicated. But what if the next revolution isn't another giant electric truck? What if it's the opposite? A vehicle that's incredibly affordable, easy to manufacture, easy to repair, cheap to charge, simple enough for almost anyone to own. Not every innovation needs more horsepower. Sometimes innovation means removing complexity. And that's exactly what these tiny EVs are trying to do. The real lesson America should pay attention to. Whether these little cars ever arrive in America isn't actually the biggest story. The bigger story is the philosophy behind them. China isn't just competing by building better luxury EVs. It's experimenting across every possible price point. Some companies chase premium buyers. Others chase families. Others chase delivery fleets. Others build vehicles for villages, farmers, hotels, factories, retirees, students. Almost every transportation problem has its own solution. That's something many industries have forgotten. Not every customer wants the biggest, or the fastest, or the most expensive. Sometimes people simply want something that works, and works well enough. Will these tiny $1,000 electric cars ever replace America's pickups? Probably not. Will they replace family SUVs? Almost certainly not. But they don't have to. Because if they can replace just millions of short daily trips, they could quietly change the economics of transportation forever. And maybe the future of mobility isn't about asking, how much car can we build? Maybe it's about asking, how little car do we actually need? That question may sound surprisingly small, but its answer could reshape the auto industry in ways almost nobody expected.